Nation of Fit in 10, it is day 64 into the final 7 days, the last week. If you've not booked your scan, please go to www.calendly.com/train-on-main and book your scan if you have not done this. Don't be afraid, even if you feel like you didn't make any progress. This happens a lot. People feel like they didn't make progress. They come in, they made substantial progress. Okay, so, it is what it is, okay? So just remember that. It is what it is. Also, don't be afraid of your weight. Many times people's weight has stayed the same, but they made substantial progress. I just told you guys yesterday, I think I told you this, about a client who was quite upset because her weight had gone up. Long story short, after doing a scan, right, she'd lost 3 pounds of body fat, she gained 3 pounds of muscle. And she gained some water weight as well. So, your weight does not tell you the whole truth, right? This is why we do the scans, okay? Do I want to get to? Yeah, okay. Let's get to it. Okay. So listen, I talked yesterday a little bit about whether aerobic activity, because this was a question somebody asked, what's better for fat burning, aerobic activity or weight training? And of course, there's so many nuances to this. And again, if you were just to ask me just if I had to make a general statement, I would say you're going to burn more calories doing. So if you take an hour of moderate level aerobic activity and you take an hour of, hard leg training, which one's going to burn more calories? I'm going to say they're probably going to burn about the same. Okay, if you take an hour of really hard cardio and you take an upper body moderate training session, you're probably going to burn more calories in that cardio session. I'm going to say for sure you're going to burn more calories in those cardio sessions, in that cardio session. If you do, an hour and a half or 2 hours of upper body, which is what I used to do for a general upper body workout, versus, a 45-minute session of moderate cardio, obviously you're going to burn more calories in that weight training session. So this question as to what is better, I'll put a broad statement out here. I will tell you that minute for minute, on average, doing cardio versus doing weights, which one's going to burn more energy? The cardio is going to, okay? But this doesn't mean that this is always the case. Okay, we have to look at the energy that's burnt, essentially, okay? So, but, we can't neglect, what I talked about yesterday in terms of your lean body mass and how this plays a function. So lean body mass raises your BMR, right? So we talked about that yesterday. This raises your engine to burn energy every day. The more lean body mass you have, this includes everything, not just skeletal mass. Obviously, if you're training with weights, you're only going to improve your muscle mass and your bone density. But generally speaking, your lean body mass, the more of it you have, the more energy you're going to chew through. But also, the more lean muscle mass you have, the greater amount of real estate you have to store sugar. You have a better regulatory system for sugar. If you have more muscle mass, and especially if you're weight training, because when you weight train, you make that muscle more it's more sensitive to insulin. It's more likely to take in more sugar than would otherwise. You have greater capacity to store sugar, less capacity for that sugar, okay, you could just think of it as energy, to be stored as fat. Okay, so, keep that in mind. Also, when you weight train, you actually are in a position afterwards for a short period of time where insulin doesn't even need to be released by the pancreas. This is a hormone that is used to shuttle sugar around the body. Doesn't need to be released because you have something called GLUT4 receptors on the muscle cell, and so the muscle will just take in sugar without insulin having to do any work. Why is this important? Well, because the less insulin that you go through, the less insulin that you utilize, the less you stress your pancreas, the better, or I will say, the healthier your pancreas will be. Okay, the less we're demanding of it. Okay, so this is why a lot of people become type 2 diabetic, is because there's an overconsumption of sugar combined with, lack of exercise, maybe some other lifestyle habits that aren't really conducive. But ultimately, having too much sugar in the diet, okay, this stresses the pancreas, and over time, the pancreas burns out. Eventually, insulin can't do its job. You have to take, exogenous insulin. Okay, you have to take insulin from the outside to do its job. So let's just tie this up and make this a little more clear. More muscle mass equals a greater reserve capacity for sugar, plus an easier time on your pancreas. Okay, so it's a savior for your pancreas. It's a savior for lowering your insulin levels in the bloodstream. And this is a really good thing for your health in general. Lowering your general insulin levels in the bloodstream is a healthier thing. Remember this: when insulin levels are lower or very low in the bloodstream, there's more likelihood that you'll burn through fat. Okay? And there are other nuances I can bring up here. So, this is a very bold statement to make, to say cardio is better than weight training to burn fat. It's like, okay, but what is the context, right? Are we talking about a 1-for-1? So we're doing a weight training session, 1 hour weight training session versus 1 hour of moderate cardio. Is that what we're talking about? What are we talking about? We're making a big statement here. All right, so this is a really hard one, but I will say this: on average, because with cardio you're moving the entire time, you're going to burn, generally speaking, more energy than, let's say, an hour of weight training. Okay? Long term, though, I'm going to make the argument, long term, you want to at least implement weight training to keep that fat off, okay? Again, increase in basal metabolic rate, right? The energy, the engine that we have, so to speak. You can think of it as an engine to chew through energy because we have more lean mass. And also we have a greater reserve capacity for sugar, and I went into the details about how that can make a difference, right? Just think of it as you have less chance, you have a greater ability for your body to store sugar than you would otherwise. Okay? All right. Yesterday, I didn't get to this question. Well, I read it, but I didn't answer it. Is there anything you'd like me to cover in this week's video series? What stretches do you recommend that we should always do at the beginning and end of each lift camp? Okay, so I don't really know if this is going to help you guys, and I don't really want to move the camera around and show you, right? But so generally, I like to do a stretch that will cover, and we do this with the bands, a stretch that will. So any of you do my lift camps, you'll know what I'm talking about. We do basically a stretch where we hold the band behind the arms like this. We move up and down. This is stretching out the biceps, the shoulder, and the pecs. Okay, so this is a very good anterior stretch. And of course, we're going through different angles. So that's a good general stretch. Again, for the biceps, chest, and shoulders. We generally do an overhead tricep stretch. If we've taxed the triceps, we'll do a lat stretch. Okay, a stretch for the lats, these muscles on the side of the back. And we'll typically do one for like an upper back rear shoulder stretch. So we'll do one across the body. So those are generally, there's others we could incorporate here. You could do also a child's pose or something. I think that would be a really good one for the back. It's also very relaxing for the upper body. Lower body wise, a good hamstring stretch. Okay, so this is usually one where we'll hinge at the hips and we'll stay bent over in that hinged position so the legs are straight. We create some anterior pelvic tilt. This will help to lengthen the hamstrings because we're trying to stretch them, so we want to lengthen them. Right? We don't want to round the lower back. We don't want to posterior pelvic tilt because that's not going to lengthen. That's going to shorten the hamstrings. We're trying to lengthen the hamstrings. So that one, pigeon stretch. Okay, you can look these up. Pigeon stretch, a groin stretch, a standing quad stretch, and then a stretch basically where we're working to stretch more the psoas. So this is one where we go down into into the position where we are, the bottom position of a split squat. Okay, so you basically, one leg's in front, one leg's in the back, you're kneeling down, and you are, if you're twisting, let's say the left side, that means that the left leg would be forward, the right leg would be behind you, and then you put your arm up and you twist to the inside. Okay? While engaging your glute and pulling in your stomach. All right? Another one that I'd recommend too is a general calf stretch. Okay? Just for, increasing, enabling the what we call the foot to be able to dorsiflex or pull the toes towards the shins. Okay, this is very helpful when we're squatting. This helps to save the knees. Okay, I'm already 11 minutes. That's a big question, and I'm sorry, but I guess I could make a video and just demo all the stretches for you. Okay, name something specific you can improve on for the following week. This person writes, daily walks. I've been hitting 10K steps a day like I usually do. Very good. Wake up a little early to do a warm-up before the Zoom class. I find days I do quick. Oh, I haven't been hitting, sorry. I haven't been hitting like I usually do. Okay, so not good. This person has not been hitting their 10Ks like they normally do. I find days I do quick 2-minute jumping jack, warm up to burn more calories, and I feel better during the class, less sluggish. Okay. Name something specific you need help with. Building muscle. I think in these weeks' video du jour, I've lost fat and gained much muscle. I think it's in this video du jour. All right, I'm going to reread this here. Building muscle. I think it's in this week's video du jour, but I've lost fat and haven't gained much muscle. I feel like I just look skinny now. Okay, so this person is definitely a smaller person. You've lost body fat. Here's the thing, though, because I'm going to speak to this person specifically. So if I'm not mistaken, you've talked about losing some body fat around your stomach because that's where you're holding, but the rest of you is relatively thin. There's no way to target that without trying to burn fat. Now, ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to burn fat around the body. We can't target one area, okay? If anybody has any science on this, then you want to prove me wrong, go ahead. But you cannot target it. So what we have to do is we essentially have to go into a deficit, what we're doing here, and burn through fat in order to get that lower portion off. The other areas are going to become leaner. It's just the way it is. Now, in terms of building muscle mass, I guess I would have to talk to you and see exactly what you're doing. But again, if we're trying to measure your muscle mass throughout this small period, it might be something that's hard to measure if you've gained 1 or 2 pounds of muscle, right? I went through this a couple videos ago. So you may have gained some muscle, right? I mean, what's reasonable to gain, okay? Unless, of course, you're using steroids or something. Okay, well, I'm assuming that you're not using steroids. What's reasonable to gain as somebody who's, quote, natural? Well, in the beginning, you can gain a decent amount of muscle. You could easily gain 10 pounds of muscle in 1 year if you are new to training. If you're not new to training, well, maybe a couple pounds of muscle. Okay, so I don't know where you stand in this, but consider 10 weeks. Yeah, you could gain a pound or 2 of muscle in the 10 weeks. That may not show in the scan, okay? So, all right, let's get to the message of the day. All right, simple one. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Where there is a will, there is a way. For me, and I realize that this is my thing, and maybe this has come easier for me. I've always found a way to get my meals in. I always found a way. So when I was in university all day, early morning to early evening, I packed all my meals with me and I just took them. Okay, I'm not saying I'm anything special. I'm not saying I deserve a trophy. I'm just saying what I did because it mattered to me. So it mattered to me, so I found a way to do it. Okay? You have to be resourceful. If you legitimately can't figure something out, then ask. Ask, how can I do this? Okay? But really, I mean, ultimately, it's just a matter of keeping food cool, for the duration of the day. Ice packs do this. And packing your food. This is just, again, planning and preparing. Is it easy? No. Is it fun? Probably not. Okay, but like I said, if it matters enough to you, then you'll do it, right? It's just that easy, okay? You cannot expect to try to wing it. You cannot expect to eat at restaurants. You cannot expect to make, quote, just, I'm eating, quote, healthy. I'm trying to do my best. I'm working hard. Okay, these things are great. Okay, it's great to feel this way, but what are you actually doing, right? And this is where logging comes in, right? Feelings about what you're doing are great, but feelings don't tell you the truth, okay? So where there is a will, there is a way. If it matters enough to you, you'll do it. And if it doesn't matter enough to you, you won't do it. And that's okay. There's many things, I will admit. I'm telling you as your coach. There are many things I said I was going to do, and I didn't do. I don't feel proud about that. But it just obviously wasn't important enough to me, okay? Where there is a will, there is a way. If it matters enough to you, you'll find a way. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's the hard truth, right? All right, positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, give some gratitude. I'll talk to you all very soon. See you guys.